What's up, YouTube? What's up, Discord? Free from it all here. Navitas hit another 52-week high today, and it looks to be holding quite strong. Tomorrow we have the Rosenblatt Annual Tech Summit. Okay, that's probably some sort of pseudo catalyst people have been waiting on. I posted about this on StockTwits before. I talked about it in my YouTube on my last video, I believe, or the second last video, that it was an upcoming event. We had one on the 3rd, and now we're having one now. Anyways, on Rosenblatt's sort of advertisement, they have like Nvidia, and then right under it, it's like kind of like a poster ad, an email ad type looking thing, digital ad, and then right under it is Navitas, which is something of note. I mean, there's something like 8 companies listed there. Okay, but I mean, it's solid. It's solid momentum building for the stock. Personally, I was sold out of shares yesterday. I bought shares on the immediate flush this morning, that profit-taking flush. Bought shares and then I resold them. I don't want to be a holder at this level myself, even though I could see it going much higher. As I've stated in my previous videos, I can see it going much higher. I had a massive exposure before. I made like 9,400 on it, and at one point I was down like 20G because it was, you're averaging up as you're chasing it, and then it just it got crushed down to 4 and change, right? So personally, I'm not liking it at these levels. It's up 400% since the announcement. It's obviously way below the IPO price. The IPO price was 12 and change, and then it hit like $22, so we're nowhere near that. And as I stated in my previous videos, Navitas didn't have this Nvidia sort of partnership when it was those prices. So, technically, it should go higher than that, right? The only caveat there is, I'm sort of regurgitating information here, but you never know who gets the info, and YouTube is only going to provide these videos for so long, and then people are basically going to have to find them on their own. So you got to keep updating, right? But the CEO has reiterated multiple times that their revenues aren't really going to be coming along until well into 2026. It's only June of 2025, guys. So I get everyone's excited, and we want to FOMO this thing up to the moon, but in all actuality, their next earnings might not even be that great, right? Now, I was jokingly kind of making fun of GameStop earlier, being like, wow, they're worth $13 billion, and they only make $44 million revenue. I said this in my Discord. And Navitas' last earnings was $15 million. And the CEO is expecting them to make hundreds of millions of dollars in 2026 and beyond. Now, that Rubin rack, that's like the technology that they're coming on board for NVIDIA, is going to go towards this Rubin rack. I'm not sure if they're Rubin chips or it's a Rubin rack. Before I've been trying to do as much DD as possible. I thought they were Rubin GPUs, but I think that's actually the technology for the rack. Regardless, it's going to be required for Blackwells and Beyonds if you want to have that 5% power reduction. It's not a 70%. There's a lot of misinformation out there. The 70% is not a power reduction. I think it was like a Seeking Alpha or some shit that came out with the wrong headline. It's a 70% maintenance cost reduction, which is utterly massive, right? Obviously, that's still massive. But it's a 70% power reduction. The world would be going, wait a minute, how are you reducing power consumption 70%? Because that's probably not scientifically possible. You don't see those kinds of things happening in technology. If anything, power consumption only goes higher. It doesn't go down, which again is why this thing has been running so much, is because it's addressing that, right? It's addressing it. 5% on all future power consumption, a reduction is massive. It's not small. Obviously, if you could get more, that'd be even more massive. But as it sits, I mean, that's still massive. And then you have, again, the 70% maintenance reduction, which is huge. So, obviously, you've seen me kind of going back and forth on this share price. And, so I got the dog outside. Just see if I can let her out. And kind of where I see it going, or where I would like to see it going. Right now, guys, this is shaping up to be pretty much exactly like AMC's run-up. Except, it doesn't appear that we're going to see endless dilution from the CEO on this. The stock price on AMC, guys, it was like $2, went up to the 6s, came back to the 4s. Then we had a battle for what is called 8.0.1, like 801. The stock is like 806 right now. That 801, they crashed us below that. Everybody loaded the boat again. The next stop was $13. $13. Then it was a battle for 1401. They kept putting up sell walls. And if you've been in this stock for a while now, you know we had all these sell walls at $7. Like, it was crazy. Massive sell walls at $7. Which don't exist now, obviously, is well over that. And they're kind of trying to figure out, where the hell is this thing going? Who's holding this? Obviously, it's all retail at this point. The CEOs, unfortunately, the directors have been selling like hotcakes. Fortunately, the volume has hidden it all. But if you subscribe to the Navitas SEC filings, like I do, you'll know. Mosquitoes are out, goddamn. You'll know that just today alone, there were 6 more sales. And that Ragmair Singh, or whatever the hell his name is, from SIC Power, he sold all of his shares, his personal shares, and now he's like fire selling the shares that company had. That company had 25 million shares last week. It's down to 17 million this week. So he sold 8 million shares for, I mean, you can't blame him because it's $8 where it used to be 2, not even. But at the same time, it's like, bro, we're trying to get this thing to double digits here, and you're telling us how important you are. It's a bad look for you to be doing this much selling. I mean, no one needs $100 million like today, to get by for financial reasons. Like, there's having money for retirement, and then there's like, let's look at the big picture here, buddy. You have a massive following of. I think it comes down to is they don't understand social media in any way, this company, unfortunately. They posted, like, after the news dropped, they posted to LinkedIn like that they were on the NASDAQ like digital board thing that you always see on like stock news channels and stuff like that. Like, who the hell is on LinkedIn to find that information? They have no Twitter presence pretty much at all. Like, their Twitter account is dead. I've literally messaged them and been like, you really got to get your social media presence going here. Wall Street Bets, StockTwits, Twitter, TikTok, YouTube. Because they have some decent YouTube videos on there with the CEO, but they pretty much don't have. Sorry, it's a dog coming. And I got no leash here. Their social media presence is trash. I think that would really help propel the visibility of the company beyond what we're giving it. Like, basically, we're doing all the legwork for them, which, financially speaking, is great. They manage their money well. They have enough, as the CEO said, they have enough money for 7 quarters. They don't need to access this 50 million float that they have. Sorry, it's not 50 million shares, by the way. It's $50 million, which is a standard 5% dilution, which is no longer even 5%, because the company is worth $8 a share now, not 2. So, even that, even if they were to access that, which I stated in one of my recent videos, I think they should do. That's just, they're just padding their balance sheets with capital that they've already told shareholders about in March that they had access to. Even if they were to access it, it's not going to affect the share price much at all, in my opinion. The volume would eat that up in 1 hour. $50 million. It's like a $1.5 billion company now, bordering on $2 billion, I think. A dog barking, so I had to like pause the video. Long story short, there's a few things that they need to address, I think, to sort of propel them beyond this level. It's going to be tough to like, there's not a lot of reasons why it would fall from here. Obviously, retail is content to hold what they have. There's also not many reasons to propel it further other than old price, like stock prices, which old prices don't necessarily fully dictate where the stock is going. And without any kind of further catalysts, or, obviously last week we had them like team up with some EV company or something. I've mentioned potential buyouts, possibilities. Personally, I think Apple would be the main one, or Google, or Microsoft. No one really mentions Microsoft, but they love to buy up companies. And their largest, the place they spend the most money is CoreWeave. Okay? A lot of money. Billions of dollars. How about a 5% discount on all that money that you're sending out the window through CoreWeave, right? It'd be kind of obviously some kind of love triangle between CoreWeave, Navitas, and Microsoft, because CoreWeave is who they rent from. So CoreWeave would have to embrace Navitas technology to lower their maintenance and lower that power draw, which would indirectly benefit Microsoft. But if Microsoft were to buy them and say, implement this technology and give us a discount, they would pretty much have to do it. CoreWeave, 77% of their revenue comes from Microsoft. So, like, that's probably the only reason that company is where it's at. And then when the float unlocks in September, which is only a couple months away, the share price is going to collapse. It's being held up right now by a short squeeze on a low float, which is artificial because it's locked. So, we don't really care so much about CoreWeave or this price of CoreWeave. What I'm talking about here, though, is a dedicated consumer. And that would be Microsoft, who seemingly has no plans to build their own data centers and racks and things like that. It must come down to tax reasons or something, why you would throw that money away year after year. It's probably because constantly chasing new GPUs is a fruitless endeavor. And CoreWeave already knows that, because they were a crypto company and they had to pivot when power costs became too high and the GPUs, you have to replace them. Sometimes they come bricked, meaning dead on arrival, and their maximum lifespan is like 4 years. So you're replacing your entire data center every 4 years. It's not very good in terms of how much money that requires. Like, it's a tough place to make money, and they prove that because they don't make any. All they do is lose money. But who cares? if they are okay losing hundreds of millions of dollars and trying to become profitable, and Microsoft is willing to constantly source other companies for their data centers, and Navitas has a way to help both of them, it seems like a very good pairing. And then the reason Apple, it would be good for them, is it's in mobile technology. There was a rumor that I kind of debunked about the Switch 2. It doesn't really have anything to do with the Switch 2 at all. I don't know how that started or why, but that's an NVIDIA custom chip. And the Switch 2 isn't selling very well anyways, so who really cares? And, but Apple could Apple's been struggling with any sort of innovation at all. This isn't really innovation, but, it would potentially reduce costs. It's manufactured in America. They could switch that to India. They already package in Taiwan. They have good relations with Taiwan, so that's already good to go. Like, logistically, it's already perfect for them. There's no new hurdles or anything to overcome. They can then kind of lock out Samsung and Huawei on their tech and kind of be the leader, the forefront there for a while until Samsung and Huawei come up with their own to match this. So far, and Navitas is the only people in this space with this GAN and SICK technology. There's like hit piece articles out there suggesting otherwise, but I don't see it. As far as I'm aware, these are the guys, these are the only players, and that's how the CEO talks too. He's like, we're the only ones. So why they keep selling their shares is mind-boggling. They don't seem to have any vision of just how unfathomably rich they could become. I mean, they're already making money hand over fist. Let's make no mistake, the stock is up 400% in 3 weeks. That's exactly why they're selling. They're not dumb. They're geniuses. They're pocketing that. They're securing that bag. They have more shares, so they're not concerned about not securing this current bag by unloading a large portion of their shares. So if it were to come back down to the 200 EMA, they've already secured it at 6, 7, and 8. 200 EMA guys are like 3 and change. I personally am hoping that this does come down again. Like I said, it's playing out like AMC, where we had 801, we dipped, we went to 13, and we went to 14, and then it was like 23, which it's just such a coincidence because the previous high on this was like 22. So even in that regard, it's adding up on all fronts. Not to mention the float size is basically the exact same, 200 million shares. I recall AMC being something around that until Adam Aaron started diluting and 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 making nape and diluting and reverse splitting and diluting. And like, it never ends, right? So we don't really have any of that here, so if you're holding and you think it's only going up, I wish you the best. But on the same token, I don't, because I want to be able to add shares, and I don't really want to buy at this price. I'm not gonna lie. This just is this is a good price now that we got the weekly options. This is a good price where they sort of chased it up. They brought up the moving averages, and now it's time for a little bit of more consolidation. These things tend to go from parabolic to even more parabolic, where we're talking blow off top, completely vertical low. So that is well within the cards on this one. If that happens, I guess I'm just going to be on the sidelines watching. I can't really bring myself to buy it at this level. Personally, I know a lot of people are just playing options. I don't really like that. They're priced extremely high at this point in terms of percentage. So like the options are 25% of the value of the company if you like went into September. They're great if you're selling a covered call. Like if you, for every 100 shares, you can sell one call down in September, $10, whatever you want, and make a little bit of revenue. Lower your cost basis, lower your downside protection. But you're limiting your upside, So they're good for sellers. For buyers, it still feels pretty risky. Not to mention, even with all the volume, price discovery on them is still a thing. Like one day they're 50 cents, the next day they're 25 cents, the next day they're back to 50 cents, but the stock is now $8 instead of $7. So it's the same price at 8 as it was at 7. The price on them is anything but stable. So you could be way overpaying or getting way less than you should, and it's very volatile. It is a literal casino. I think if you're a believer in the stock, there's no reason you shouldn't just buy shares here. It's not like we're talking like I can understand when you're looking at Nvidia and it's 800 a share. Or 1,000 a share before the split, right? It's 1,000 a share, and so options are affordable. That's really the only affordable means for you to get into that ticker and make some money. This is an $8 stock. There's no reason you need to pay 50 cents for an option and hope it moons. You can just buy stock. You know, any low cost stock, it's like really there's nothing holding you back. Like at least with like an option can expire completely worthless, it can expire for zero. So I mean, the lowest this thing looks to be going is 200 EMA, which it hasn't been anywhere near since before the news was announced. Ever since the news was announced, it's never been anywhere near that price. It's hit 48 EMA a couple of times. That's about it. So I think even that, you're far more secure just grabbing physical shares here. Dollar cost averaging if it goes down, and even chasing it up if it goes up. I mean, I personally chased it up as it was climbing, and then eventually sold. Right, so you know, I don't know. I just thought I ought to put out another video and keep updating this as this stock is becoming more and more, having more and more exposure out there. Whether you value my opinion or not, whatever. But there's few people following this, so it's a growing community, but it's not like, we're not talking GameStop levels or AMC or anything like that, right? So it's nice to have, I think it's nice to have someone like me putting their voice or opinion out there, that you're not just reading it in a stock twits or on a Weeble chat. It's, you know, you can put a face to it, understand what they're saying, listen to what they're saying. Someone like me too that's giving pros and cons. There's almost every channel, all anything ever is pros. They don't disclose a lot of cons. Or conversely, it's only cons. They go, oh, stay away, blah, 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 blah. Often with most any stock, you have pros and cons. You don't just have only pros. To the moon, guys. Like, that's the total most bullshit mentality. It's so phony and fake, and I don't like it at all, and it doesn't help anybody. To not divulge cons like massive insider selling, don't expect revenue increases until 2026, late 2026 into 2027, which is all in accordance to what they say on their own investor relations pages on their website. To not divulge that stuff is crazy to me. To just sit there and be a pumper, I don't like that at all. So hopefully that's what will inspire you to like this video, share this video, comment, or subscribe to the channel, and maybe possibly join the Discord, right? I did call out Intel today in our Discord. At 1 in the morning, I'm talking about it, 1:20 in the morning, and then as it's happening, I'm talking about it. The calls went up 1,700% today, guys. Like, the stock wasn't moving, and then it exploded. And just yesterday, I was asked about AMD, SoFi, and I don't know, some other company. I can't even remember. And the two stocks I recommended were Google and Intel. I was like, oh, I don't really recommend either of those. I said the SoFi CEO was wasting hundreds of millions of dollars on the LA stadium for the Rams. I was like, who does that? Why are you wasting that kind of money? Like, I get it's a nice advertisement, but that was insane to me. And you know, there's easier ways to spend your money. And then you know, I mentioned AMD and showing like how, you know, the money they make compared to like Nvidia or something, or any of the Mag 7. It was just bad. Google had news today. AI expansion. It's not really news, guys. Like, and their quantum compute is going nuts. So Google is probably headed back to 200 a share. It popped, but Intel really popped. Intel's a massive float company. It has it was at a 5-year low, guys. That's why I was talking about it. It was at a 5-year low. I've been talking about it on and off for borderline a year and a half. And every time I seem to talk about it, it pops. I'm not even exaggerating. Last time I talked about it, it went from like 18 to 34, right? I'm also one of those people that is always going to be telling people, trim your position, take profits, don't just hodl and never sell. You know, take profits, because there's always place. There's no really reason to be, loyal to any of these companies, guys. These companies will sell you out in a minute, in a heartbeat, to pad the pockets of the directors and executives in their stocks, or private buyers that want to take them private and shit like that. Don't have any weird loyalty to these corporations. That they're you're not even a number to these people. We are blips in their game of Wall Street. So yeah, I don't know. We got a lot going on. Just wanted to mention those last couple tickers here at the end of the video. We'll see what happens tomorrow. We played Dave and Buster's. That was another win. I have a section in the Discord called Low Risk Plays, and we target certain plays, certain option chains, weekly. It's been weekly. I did 12 videos before, 2 and 3 weeks ago. I am 16 for 16 on those plays. I have not missed a single play. It's not an exaggeration. They're not massive returns. They can be depending on how much money you put towards them, but we're basically making anywhere from $500 to $1,500 a day on those plays, which that would replace most people's jobs. Just throwing that out there. You need to be able to day trade to do them, though. So you need to have an account in the U.S. of over $25,000. In Canada, then it's not a thing. You could have like a $3,000 account in day trade, but in the States, you do need $25,000 to be doing those plays. Well, if you want to do more than a 3 a week. This week it looks like shaping up to be we're only going to have 3. We didn't have any yesterday. We had 1 today. We may or may not have 1 tomorrow, and may or may not have 1 on Thursday. We were looking at Oracle, I believe, and Adobe, but those don't look to be panning out to they're not going to work out, I don't think, which is unfortunate, because Adobe has had a history of being having really aggressive options moves on earnings plays. So I don't know why. Did you go pee-pee? I don't know why it's not going to shape up to be one of those lower risks. It should be, but either way, all the best on CoreWeave. Got a lot of tech stocks on the brain. All the best on Navitas. I am hoping this comes back down, though, guys, and not out of maliciousness, because when it does, you're going to shake out every sort of last investor who's looking to take profit at these areas. This is an area. This 6 to 8 to 9. That's an area. Once we hit that one more time, or 200 EMA, if it goes that low, which I really don't see that happening, but that would be a blessing. Once it does that, you're going to shake those people out, and now we're talking. I don't see anything on the train tracks to stop the train from hitting 13, 14, possibly even 22 at that point. Free.